So I recently watched Oppenheimer, which was a pretty decent, pretty good Christopher Nolan film. To start off with the positives, the performances within this film are what make it really good. Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer was the perfect choice for this role, as he really becomes that person. You really believe him as Oppenheimer, as he was a fantastic choice in my opinion. Other actors such as Robert Downey Jr. as Louis Strauss, Chris Hartnett, who's in this film, who I haven't seen in a long time in TV or in movies, I think he does a really good job. There's also another actor who plays the father of the hydrogen bomb, the guy who developed that. I forgot his name, but he was actually a really good actor as well. There was a lot of solid performances throughout this film, and I think that they really were able to become those real persons, and I was glad for the choice of actors because there's really no bad choice of actors in this movie that I can think of. I think Matt Damon, who also plays this Colonel character, really did a fantastic job, and his place was very good in this movie. I was glad that he was casted in this film alongside Cillian Murphy as Oppenheimer. The performances were solid, and also the other positive that I wanted to say is that this movie has really good pacing. Even though this movie's 3 hours long, it didn't feel like it was 3 hours, because going right into it, we go from one scene to the other in a very, very quick way, in a very typical Christopher Nolan way, because Christopher Nolan likes to keep the pace very fast and doesn't like his movies kind of slowing down. So we get a lot of information very quickly, and we learn about Oppenheimer and his early life and how he got involved in the development of the atomic bomb, and then afterwards as he was accused of being a communist in a very short period of time. And it feels like a short period of time because of how fast paced it is. It doesn't slow down in any parts. It doesn't drag. There's no kind of overly long talking scenes or any sort of exposition scenes that are unnecessary. No, everything is well edited in this film, and I really appreciate that fact. Now, going on to the negatives, I think that there's really three negatives that I have with this film. It's the structure that's within this film, Christopher Nolan's inappropriate use of music and noises that are present within this movie, and I think the final detonation of the atomic bomb that's in the scene on July 16th, 1945, the Trinity test, I kind of wanted to talk about. So starting off, the structure of the film feels good in the first and second part of the film, where we learn about Oppenheimer's life and how he becomes involved in the atomic bomb. The last third of this movie, though, where he is being accused after World War II of being a communist, and where he has someone who is important in his life who betrays him, those scenes and that part of the film I feel like could have been better structured and better incorporated in this film. It wasn't that it was bad. I actually kind of wanted to see it more. I don't know, I kind of wanted to see more of it. I feel that in a way the way that we kind of covered that information in the last third of the film isn't that well done. I don't know why. It just doesn't feel very satisfying. I wish I could have learned more of his life, and it would be kind of equally, I guess, it would be edited a lot better where we see in the first half of this film the development of the atomic bomb, and we see in the last half the kind of life that Oppenheimer had after the war and the issues that he had to deal with of being accused of being a communist. Some people might say that because of the editing that choices that Christopher Nolan does, is that the structure of the film actually is pretty good, that he incorporates the stories of him being accused of a communist into the development of the atomic bomb pretty well. But I'm not sure. I think this nitpick, this kind of critique of the structure, is something that I'm not sure if I can maybe rewatch the film again and probably appreciate the film a lot more, or if this is something that I kind of see it as just a small problem that I'm over exaggerating. I'm not sure. It's just that maybe the last third of the film where we see his life after World War II, I feel like should have been better, better expanded upon, in my opinion. Other than that, there's the Christopher Nolan's typical use of noise and music within this film. Now, Christopher Nolan has done this before, where he has bombastic noises, really loud sounds, very much interjected in his films that can be pretty awesome and intense at times, especially when you're watching this movie in theaters, as I did. But it gets annoying and it gets tiring after a while when he's constantly doing that, when he's interjecting these very loud noises into the film to keep it intense, keep it engaging. And that's where I kind of have a problem with it, is that when he's doing that within a movie, I understand why he's doing it, but I feel to keep my engagement, you just need to write better dialogue or have kind of some interesting scenes come up rather than just constantly interjecting really loud noise into the film. And this also goes with the music. There are a lot of times in this movie while characters are talking and they're having dialogue that I couldn't hear the dialogue very well because there's this inappropriate track of music that's being played over them. And I was like thinking, can you turn down the volume on the music because I can't really hear the dialogue? Or the music that's being played along the scene doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel that it was placed correctly within that scene, and it doesn't really add anything to the kind of, I don't know, it doesn't add anything to the story or to the conveying of information within that particular scene. It doesn't improve it. There are a couple scenes that are like this where the music really is out of place, and also where the noises or the really loud bombastic sounds that Christopher Nolan likes to place into his movies felt very much, I don't know, tacked on. I don't know why he does that at times. It can be excessive at times. And the last critique I would say of the film is actually the Trinity test. So here we see Oppenheimer develop the atomic bomb, and finally the scientists at Los Alamos at the Manhattan Project want to see it work, and we have this huge epic scene, the buildup of the movie of when they detonate the first atomic bomb on July 16th, 1945. So you think the scene is going to be really great. They're going to be probably using a mixture of CGI and real explosions to create this incredible mushroom cloud, this incredible explosion that is the first atomic bomb. We've seen so much footage of the Trinity test over and over again. We've seen so much footage of other atomic tests that have been done in the past, so it's probably going to be impressive, and Christopher Nolan's probably going to pull through with this one. That being said, though, the end result of the first detonation on screen, I don't know how to feel about it, because Christopher Nolan doesn't go the route of using CGI to create the explosion. He actually uses a real life explosion that he films on camera, a real fiery explosion, and that, I don't know, it took me out of the film, because when you see the atomic test footage from the past, you understand what an atomic bomb looks like, the mushroom cloud that develops from the explosion. In the movie, though, when the bomb finally detonates, it was not something I was expecting, and it was not as impressive as I thought, because yes, it's great that he used a kind of in-camera effect. It was something that's not CGI, but at the same time, I don't know if that was the best choice, in my opinion. And this is where, again, going back to having to rewatch the film, I might have to see this scene once more if I kind of want to see it to appreciate that scene, because I don't know, it was that ending explosion, that ending detonation looked off. It didn't look correct, and it was kind of silly to me in some aspect. I don't know, it took me out. Now, I know that, of course, when it comes to explosives, you know, Christopher Nolan couldn't get experts to bring in a large amount of explosives to like generate something like the Beirut explosion that occurred in 2020. That would be completely insane, completely impractical, and unfilmable to do something like that. But the explosion that they did create for this film, I don't know if they really got it down correctly, and I don't know if it really was that impressive, because to me, when I was watching that scene, that was the first thing that I kind of pointed out. It didn't look like a nuclear explosion. It just looked like a massive fiery explosion. And maybe on my second viewing of this movie, which I will try to do in the future, it'll probably look a little bit more impressive, but I don't know. For now, it just didn't look that good. And while I hope you guys understand these critiques that I have, the structure, Christopher Nolan's use of music and noise that's in this film, and the final detonation in this film, while these critiques are kind of making me feel that this is not Christopher Nolan's best film in his filmography, I still really like this movie. It was very good. I think Cillian Murphy, once again, did an excellent job. All the actors did an excellent job. I love this period of time. One thing that I wanted to mention is that I don't really know that much about Oppenheimer. I actually really, even though I'm a history buff, I really didn't kind of research any aspects about his life prior to this film. I kind of wanted to go in somewhat ignorant of this person, and I'm glad I did that, because I don't want it to color my understanding of how I watch this film and kind of say to myself, oh, they did this wrong, this is not historically accurate, this is historically inaccurate, blah blah blah. I didn't want that to happen, so I went into this movie not knowing that much about the history of Oppenheimer and his role in the development of the atomic bomb. And I'm glad I did that, because, you know, it was pretty good watching this film and learning more about how he was able to gather a lot of scientists and recruit them into the Manhattan Project. That was some of the best scenes within the film until the development and the detonation of the first atomic bomb. I really liked it. I really liked it all, even with the criticisms. Maybe if I watch this movie again, the structure of this film will make a lot more sense to me, or maybe I will kind of better appreciate the structure, because I don't know, that aspect of the film didn't feel correct. I felt like the last third should have gotten a lot better edited, and there should have been a lot more details added in there. And I don't know, it was just something that I didn't really appreciate. Maybe on a second watch, I would probably like it a lot more. But let me know what you guys think of Oppenheimer. Did you get to watch this film? Are you having any intentions of going to watch this film? Because if you do, go ahead and watch this in theaters. Even though that I have criticized Christopher Nolan's typical use of noise and music in this film, I feel like this is a theater-going experience. This is something that you need to watch in theaters. Yeah, if you have surround sound at your home, watching it on your TV would be pretty good too. But yeah, I recommend this is definitely a theater-going movie. Other than that, yeah, it's pretty good. I liked it. It was okay. With all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, very much unscripted review of Oppenheimer and all the spoilers that I had throughout this film review. So thank you for watching, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.